Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. This is Dana, and it's Christmas Tag Friday. What I wanted to do this morning is just kind of overview where we're at and what our project is. So several weeks ago, I had shared with y'all that I wanted to do a series about Christmas tags because I had seen someone on YouTube, I believe her name is Jill Norwood, and she shared what she does every year is that on Thanksgiving, she gifts her loved ones and friends a package of Christmas tags to kind of enter into the holiday season. And so that's her gift to her loved ones on Thanksgiving. And I really love that idea, and I was going to do that last year, and I made a ton of Christmas tags, but what I ended up doing is I ended up packaging them and selling them at my craft fair. I'm not doing my craft fair this year, and so I really wanted to do the Thanksgiving gift of Christmas tags to my loved ones. So I started a series where every week we were going to make a different tag. And if you followed along with me and made multiples of that one tag every week, that by Thanksgiving, you would have your gifts all packaged up and ready to go for Thanksgiving. And so I wanted to share that we're at the halfway mark. And so here is what we've done so far. Here's the 6 really cute tags that we have done. And so we've got our little rosette tag, and we have our little wonky Christmas tree tag. Last week we did this really cute little chalkboard wreath tag. And we have our watercoloring that we braved through and did little watercolor Christmas trees. And then we had our little scraps that we used on the doily to make a Christmas tree. And then we did these really cute little hand-stitched embroidered tags. So that's where we are, and I just pulled those out of my this is just kind of how I'm storing mine in Ziploc bags. So here I've made 12 of each tag. So this bag got full, so I had to start a new bag. That's how I'm storing mine. Just waiting for Thanksgiving to come around. And what I'm going to do is, as part of our video series, we'll also go ahead and I'll do the packaging and how I plan on packaging up my tags. But here are the cute tags we're going to do today. I've been dying to do a vintage tag. And so I've got 2 versions of it. Is this not adorable? And then there's the larger version. Really cute. Sorry, my hands are shaking. Y'all know I get the shakes. And so we're going to make vintage tags today. And I will show you all the ones that I've done at the end because there's some really cute images out there. So what I've done is I have gone to, and I'm going to link their website below. The website is called graphicsfairy.com, and they have free vintage pictures that you can download. And that's what I used. Actually used Graphics Fairy. So that's what we're using for the small ones. And then the larger ones came from I belong to a Facebook group called Junk Journal Junkies Chat group, and it's JJJ Chat on Facebook. And on that Facebook group, there is a whole section where there's files and where people have uploaded images and things like that you can download, that they're offering to you to download. So these bigger ones here, these bigger images here are Deb at JJJ Chat had uploaded those into the file section, and they're free to use here. So I downloaded it was a sheet of 4 of these larger ones that are just super cute. I love vintage images. I think they're absolutely adorable. My heart is for vintage. I just love how they look. And so I'm excited to do these. So what I have is I'm utilizing book page, music paper, and then some of my scraps. Out of my Christmas scraps, I pulled my little bag that has strips and stuff. So that's what I'm pulling from for my design paper. I've already chosen those. So what we're gonna start with is, let's start with the small one, okay? So what I've done is I downloaded the images from Graphics Fairy, and then I chose 9 of them and printed those 9 in wallet size, because if you choose print on a JPEG, it'll ask you, do you want a full page? Do you want 2 5x7s? You know, it has the little list. So I chose wallet. So I selected 9 different images and chose wallet size, and I printed those in wallet size. I cut them out and inked the edges. Because inked edges, obviously we're inking everything today because they're vintage. So that's what I've done to start. Then I've got my glue book here that I've just torn a piece out. And I'm going to put glue just where the text is on half and fold this in half. If I could get it lined up. Oh, I tell you, I'm so shaky this morning. Okay, so I've got that folded in half. And then what I'm going to do is fold it in half again, because what I've discovered is it's the perfect size for this little wallet size. And then where the crease is, I'm just gonna take the straight edge of my metal tear ruler, line it up where I creased that, and I'm just gonna tear it in half. Oops, I didn't get it all, so I'm gonna just go back and tear. And this rough edge here, to me, doesn't matter. It really kind of adds to the feel of the vintage, so it doesn't matter to me that that edge isn't perfect, okay? So now I'm just gonna ink the edge of this before I start laying my paper down, because I'm gonna run my paper, my music paper and my design paper pretty much almost edge to edge. So I want to give these edges a nice inking before I lay paper down, because I'm going to be able to get the ink a little bit farther in to the paper than if I already laid my paper down and then inked it, okay? So I'm going to just ink it front and back. These tags turned out so cute. Now you could use these tags in this project that we're doing. They're also perfect if you're doing like a junk journal or something like that with a Christmas vintage theme. When I got especially the big ones finished, I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to remember this, because these are perfect for journaling cards. They're like the size of journaling cards. Okay, so it does not matter if my text is upside down or not, because that's going to get completely covered, okay? I do want to tell you guys, I'm not using my paper cutter. You guys know me, I like to tear with my ruler. Not only does it give the edges a good texture, but to me it's faster than measuring this and then taking paper to my paper trimmer. So I've already chosen this beautiful scrap of Christmas paper that I have. And I'm just gonna kind of line it up at the top almost to the edge. Not quite. And I'm gonna tear it roughly halfway, maybe a third of the way down. And then I'm gonna turn it around and I'm gonna tear off this edge here. Like I said, almost to the edge, leaving just the faintest border. Okay. And then I'm just gonna ink 3 sides because the bottom edge is gonna get covered by our music paper. So not only am I inking it for that vintage look, and you can't really see it very well on this dark paper, but it knocks back the white edge. You guys know me, I always try and knock back that white edge. So for this cardstock, I'm gonna go ahead and use my wet glue. Just because, like, I don't think, for me, I feel better about using wet glue on cardstock than I do about a glue stick. It's just heavier paper, so I feel better about using wet glue. Okay, so I'm gonna line this up here, almost edge to edge, right at the top. That looks really cute. Okay. Then I'm gonna take some of, I'm gonna see if I've got a music scrap that's big enough. I think I do. Here's one. I think I'm gonna tear off just this top bar here. Only because, like, it doesn't have anything on it and it was halfway off the paper. So I want my music to have as much music as possible. Okay, so I'm gonna tear off the bottom, right? Just the plain edge on the bottom. And this looks almost perfect. So I'm gonna lay this on here, and then I'm just tearing, making sure I've got the width right. Okay, and I'm gonna tear that off, almost to the edge there, and then I'm gonna ink all around. These are really easy to put together. Now, if you don't have music paper, a couple things you can do. Okay, you can go to Graphics Fairy and search music paper, free music paper. They might have some, I don't know for sure if they do or not because I've never searched it. But there's lots of free images online. If you just search free printable music paper, you can print some. A lot of paper packs for Christmas will have music paper in them. I'm just going to use my glue stick and get it edge to edge here and then lay this down. So a lot of Christmas pads will also have kind of a music print in them. So there's just several places that you can find music paper. So don't worry if you don't have, like, I'm using Hymnal here, page out of a hymnal, a vintage hymnal that I have. This is the one that I have. And I chose this because I started out using, like, this is what I started out using. And it's a big sheet of music paper. But what I found was on my little tags here that it was just the print was too big. Okay, so I pulled my hymnal and I'll show you the difference. Look at the size difference between the print. So that's why I went with the hymnal instead of just regular music page. All right, now that I've got my music paper on and my scrapbook paper on, I'm gonna layer my little girl here in the middle, and I'm gonna use wet glue to do that. Because it's on cardstock. Oh, I also wanted to share with you, when I downloaded and went to print my images, I printed them on cardstock, just the like 65-pound cardstock that you can get in the big like 50 packs at Michael's. And for more of a vintage feel, I printed them on a cream color instead of white. And that gives that even more of a vintage feel. Okay, I'm gonna take this to my sewing machine at this point. But I want to go ahead and put this other one together, so I only have to go to my sewing machine a couple of times. I don't want to keep going back and forth. So I'm going to set this one aside for a moment, and let's work on this big one. They're so cute. Okay, so this book page I got from the text block we've been using in the last couple farmhouse videos because it's a little bit, here's my glue book. It's a little bit bigger, if you see that all the way around. And these images here are, because they're a little bit bigger, I wanted to use a little bit bigger book page as the base. So again, I'm just gluing half of this just right on the text, and I'm going to fold this in half. To use as my base. Okay. All right. So this is the little plaid paper that I chose to use. Now it's a little bit short, okay? That's okay. I think this is still gonna be really cute on here, so I'm gonna trim this off. I'm gonna glue this down and trim it off. Just because I really wanted to use this plaid. I think the plaid goes so well with the vintage feel. And so I really wanted to use it. And so I thought, well, I'll just trim my base down so that I can use this scrap because I really like it. I think it looks really cute with the image. So I'm going to glue this down. And I'm going to go pretty close to this folded edge here and close to the top. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tear ruler and go right to the edge of my scrap here. And I'm going to tear this edge off. And it doesn't want to tear that tiny little piece off, so I'm just going to take my scissors, no big deal, to this last little edge and get that even. Okay, so that's what we have so far. So I'm going to utilize this music page here. I think I'm going to, let's see, what part do I want? Maybe this part. Yeah, I think I'm going to use this part here. Is it going to be tall enough? Not really sure. Maybe I'll use this. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the top edge. I want it down to just the music. I don't want the white edge. Okay, so I'm just going to layer my ruler down. See how much easier this is than taking it to your paper trimmer. Plus you get that nice edge from tearing. Okay. So now I'm going to kind of measure how much of this I want. Let's see. Definitely want to use this here. I think I'm going to tear it to where I get this last little staff here of music notes. So right there. Of course, I'm saving all my scraps. And then this can go down here like this. So let me tear this edge. I'm just going to lay it kind of on the edge and tear. Okay, and we'll save this. And what I want to do is kind of, I'm going to tear this edge a little bit here on the right hand side. And it doesn't have to be like straight. I just want one of the sides that's showing through to kind of look lower with a little bit more of a torn edge. I think it just gives it a little more texture. I know it seems fussy, but that's me. You don't have to. You can leave it just straight if you want. Okay. I'll ink this all up here. And then I'll use my glue stick to glue it down. And make sure that if you're using a glue stick, you're getting glue all over. You want it edge to edge so that the whole thing lays down. Okay. Now I'm going to line this up here at the bottom. And that's what we have. Really cute. Oh my gosh, so cute. Okay, so I'm going to glue this down. I'm knocking over my glue here. Close this for a moment. And I'm not trying to get right on the edge with my wet glue, because what I'm going to do is take these to my sewing machine. Let me just get this centered. Right about there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is pause you for a moment, and I'm going to take both of these to my sewing machine, and I'm going to run a straight stitch around the image as close to the edge as I can. So I'm going to pause you. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back from my sewing machine. I'm just going to clip my threads here, and then I'll show you how that looks. Now I am gonna sew around the edge of the tag, and I didn't do that yet because what I want to do is sew around. When I sew, I want to cover up basically cover up the book page on the back before I sew around the edge. Okay, so here's what we have. See how that just sets the image off by just sewing it around the edge like that? Really cute. So now we need to cover up our book page on the back. I have here just coffee dyed paper that you know, I don't know what they're called, but you know, the little notebooks that look like this, they're white and they have paper and you just tear off the pages. Basically I coffee dyed a whole notebook. So that's all this is. And what I'm going to do is I like this side the best. So I'm going to lay this on here and I'm going to tear off the width first. Lining the paper up. Getting it almost to the edge. Not quite, but almost. I'm going to tear off the width. And I'm going to turn it, line it up, and I'm going to tear off the length. Okay, let me do the other one. I like this side the best, so let's use that. Look at that edge. That coffee dyed edge is so pretty. I've had a couple requests to do a coffee dyeing tutorial on how I coffee dye. And so I think I'm going to work on that to post next week. So if any of you are interested in that, and there'll be a video on how I do my coffee dyeing probably next week. Missed that edge. I'm just going to take my scissors to it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just take my glue book. Now, I realize these lines are running this way on our vertical tag, and it doesn't matter, okay? I wanted these to be, let's ink them first. I wanted there to be a, I'm not going to ink this edge. It's full of coffee. Doesn't need it. I wanted these tags, especially the bigger ones, to have just lined paper instead of a to and from, because I think that some of our tags are going to be really neat to, for somebody to write a special note. I mean, you give gifts to people at Christmas that are super special to you. And I think it would be cool if some of our tags just had blank lined paper on the back to write a special note, because some of our tags are just so pretty. You know, like what I do with my tags that people have written special notes on and things like that. I hang them on my Christmas tree and I keep them. So maybe somebody will want to do that. Now, the reason we're putting this paper on last after we sewed around the image is because I didn't want 2 layers of stitching on the back. If you want 2 layers of stitching, the one around the image and then the one around the edge, you just add the notebook paper first before you do any of the sewing. But I just wanted one layer of stitching to show. So that's why I stitched around the image, then I'm adding the notebook paper, and then I'm gonna zigzag stitch around the edge of the tag. Okay, let's get this last part loaded here. Where's my glue stick? Oh, here it is. Okay, so just getting glue all the way around the edge and in the middle of this. I want to make sure to get glue all around, especially on this coffee dyed paper because it's warped from having liquid poured on it. And so you want to make sure to get glue everywhere because when you lay it down with glue all over it, it's going to straighten that paper out, see? And then you just smooth the little warped pieces out. And they lay nice and flat, just like that. I'm going to trim off anything I see on the other side, and I did pretty good here. But what I just realized is that I didn't ink my book page. So I'm going to go around and do that really quick around the edge, front and back, because I can see that it's just white paper sticking out. And because everything else is vintage, I do not want that white edge showing. Okay. So anywhere I see any white peeking through, I'm just going to take some ink to it. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do now is go back to my sewing machine, and I'm going to take this and around the edge, between the edge and the image, I'm going to run a small zigzag stitch around that. So I'll be right back. All right, and here's what we have. Doesn't that look cute? Oh, so cute. Okay, we just have one last step, and here's how the back looks. So we have our little journaling lines, and then we have that zigzag stitching that goes all the way around. And so you can see, you can kind of see right here, through here, where my straight edge stitching was around the image. So if you want both rows, like I said, just lay the notebook paper down before you do any stitching at all. Cute. Okay. So our last step is to punch our hole, and I chose twine again. I just felt like it went with the vintage theme. And I'm gonna punch a hole with the smallest hole in my Crop-A-Dile right here in the corner. It just seems like the only place that I actually have room to punch a hole. Okay, so I have about 12 inches of twine here. I'm gonna fold it in half, just as I always do. Now to get this through the tiny hole, what I do is I kind of pinch the end. Oop, where's my hole? There it is. And it should go through the hole. Just be careful, you don't want to tear anything. I mean, we have several layers of paper here, but just in case, you want to be super careful. You don't want to pull too hard and have that just pull right through. I don't think that it will, but just in case, I don't want to ruin it. Okay, let's do our smaller one. And again, does not bother me that I have to write this way on the back of the tag. If that bothers you, just lay your paper the other way. I just felt like I wasn't going to get as many, like if I laid this way, I wasn't going to get another tag out of this. And so I felt like all of that was wasted. So if I laid it that way, I could get 2 tags out of it. Okay. So there's our little vintage Christmas tags. Super cute, guys. I'm so happy with how these turned out. I'm going to link Graphics Fairy on in the description box below. So if you want to go and get some of these free Christmas vintage images, you can go do that and download them. All right, guys, let me know what you think. Comment below, and I'll see you with a new tag next week and a coffee dyeing tutorial next week. And if I can get to that over the weekend, I will. So as always, have a wonderful day and God bless.